ITV News in the Tyne Tees region with Ian Payne and Amy Lee.
Good evening. Welcome to ITV News Tyne Tees. Tonight's headlines: enough is enough. The new strategy to end violence against women and girls like Alice, Sarah and Holly.
Also tonight, smash and grab. The Teesside community hub reeling from a break-in in the run-up to Christmas.
Stepping up, Newcastle United find their latest local hero as they reach the Carabao Cup semi-final again.
And we've been in South Shields remembering World War II's Forgotten Army.
First tonight, to the hopes that today will be a line in the sand for women dying at the hands of men.
Yes, in recent years we've seen high-profile cases, including those of Alice Ruggles, Sarah Everard and Holly Newton. 3 women killed in different circumstances with one common theme.
In a new strategy set out by the government, pupils in schools will be taught about healthy relationships as part of wider efforts to tackle an issue that's previously been described as a national emergency. Johnny Blair has more.
It's a murder which shocked the nation. Holly Newton stabbed to death by her ex-boyfriend nearly 3 years ago in Hexham. Logan McPhail, then 16, had displayed controlling and possessive behaviour during their relationship, red flags which convinced Holly to walk away. He couldn't let go. Her family launched Holly's Law, aimed at reducing the age at which people can be classed as victims of domestic abuse to 16. That is to stop young people from falling through the cracks, a campaign and a fight which is ongoing. In the town, flowers and tributes were laid to mark what would have been Holly's 18th birthday 2 weeks ago, but she is far from the only high-profile murder in the region caused by male violence. Sarah Everard, originally from York, was killed by a serving Metropolitan Police officer. Alice Ruggles, murdered in her own home in Gateshead by an obsessive ex-boyfriend. All are cases which have fed into today's decisive, ongoing action, as young boys and teenagers in school will now be taught about healthy relationships and teachers trained to spot signs of concern.
This isn't actually really about training teachers. This is doing what teachers have asked us to do, is that they say they are seeing a growing number of dangerous cases of things like sexually harmful behaviours, the sharing of intimate images, and that they want interventions. This isn't about teachers doing it. This is about the government investing in specialist interventions for teachers to use.
It's backed by the Prime Minister and welcomed at this North East domestic abuse charity.
I think targeting young people is absolutely vital. I know this has been said before, but the power and the compelling nature of social media means that young people are telling us across the country that they're hearing misogynistic, really quite harmful attitudes about women and girls. And for young people, that can be really impressionable. And we have to do something to try and prevent this and create a different, equal narrative for young women and young boys. I think the difference here is that it's not just piecemeal in, someone parachuting in, doing an assembly and off they go again. The mandatory nature of this preventative measure will mean that it actually becomes the heart of a school culture.
The national aim is to halve violence against women and girls in the next 10 years, described as an epidemic by government and seen all too often here.
And for us this evening. So Johnny, what more do we know about this strategy?
Well, Ian, it is early days, so the finer details of this haven't yet been revealed. So it's not something you're going to see in schools immediately. Remember, this is all part of a wider long-term government strategy to reduce violence against women and girls by 50% in the next decade. So today's announcement works in tandem with previous announcements to try and reach that goal, including swifter justice, more help for police forces and improved support for victims. This has been welcomed by related charities in the region tonight, but a word of caution. They are saying this has to be properly funded, properly implemented, properly supported for it to reach its potential nationally and, of course, here in a part of the country which has seen its fair share of high-profile cases.
Our correspondent Johnny Blair reporting.
Staff and volunteers at a Tyneside charity say that communities in Newcastle's East End will lose out when the organisation closes its doors for the final time tomorrow.
Building Futures East has been providing schemes including support for women and job seekers and running a food bank for almost 20 years.
Today, work's been taking place to distribute Christmas food parcels before the closure. Helen Ford reports.
So everybody's got their delivery lists and you know what you're doing.
It's been something of a race against time, and one taking place in the saddest of circumstances. Staff and volunteers working together to ensure donated Christmas food finds its way to those in need before the final closure of this charity tomorrow.
We've had so many people down this week to clear the shelves, to put everything in boxes, to get everything out to partner charities, and to ensure that we get the Christmas deliveries out. That makes such a huge difference to people living in Walker. And it's just so sad to look at these empty shelves.
Much of the work of Building Futures East is centred on Walker and neighbouring Byker. But over its 2 decades, the charity has delivered projects across Newcastle and on North Tyneside. It relies on grants. Staff member Dawn Emerson told me that before Brexit, much of its funding came from the EU. Since then, she says, sustained sources of finance have been hard to come by. What for you will be lost with the closure of the charity?
It's very unique to East End, Walker and Byker. They are very family focused, they're very community focused. And we've lost a community when we go, because a lot of people just drop in. It's hard to put into words what it is that's going to be lost.
One question for members of the horticulture project here is the future of their community garden, which they've developed next to the River Tyne.
I heard last week, and a multitude of emotions, an overwhelming feeling of what am I going to do on a Thursday morning? What is going to replace it? It's going to leave a big hole, and I've, at the moment, trying not to think too much about that.
It's the sentiment echoed by others here. As a 20-year chapter comes to an end, they want to celebrate all that has been achieved and hope that in some way that legacy can live on.
Well, that's the situation facing one charity, but how is the sector faring more broadly across the North East? Well, Helen has joined us in the studio to tell us a bit more about that. Helen.
Well, as we know, charities do play a central role in communities up and down the region, particularly, you could argue, in areas of greatest economic need. Now, I've been talking to the chief executive of the organisation VON, which provides support to the voluntary sector right across the region. He told me this evening that he's seeing redundancies in both charities large and small. And among the particular financial pressures facing the sector at the moment, he points to that rise in national insurance contributions for employees that was made back in the spring. So I think, to sum up, however much goodwill there is towards the sector, there is only so much money to go round. And that is leaving charities chasing every single pound.
Absolutely. Helen, thank you very much indeed.
Well, elsewhere, to the pictures showing a smash-and-grab break-in at a community hub on Teesside.
Footage from the Lingdale Tavern overnight from Monday into Tuesday shows a window being smashed and a till being stolen.
Those who run the group say that in the lead-up to Christmas, it's hit them hard, but they are determined to bounce back. Greg Eastill reports.
1 a.m. Tuesday morning, and festive cheer in short supply from this masked intruder. After checking around, he smashes a heavy weight straight through the window of the charity-run Lingdale Tavern Community Hub, kicking over the Christmas tree as he heads in, clearly without a care for who he's stealing from and how he's doing it. Moments later, the same cameras capture him leaving with the till under his arm and making off down the street. And here is the damage the thief left behind. A clean-up operation to be done for staff, along with counting their losses and counting their blessings.
I was actually upstairs at the time, and to think that that had actually happened while I'm upstairs in the property is a little bit, makes you a bit uneasy. The windows all smashed, the trees down, there's just glass everywhere.
And this hurts in more ways than one for you, yeah?
We take it really personally because we treat this venue as a really personal thing that we're trying to give something back to the community.
Just over the road, a chip shop also suffered a break-in a few days ago. One theory is that the same person or a group of people are working over different addresses methodically during the last few weeks. But it's believed vital clues might have been left behind.
We have links with another business in our local village, Boosbeck, down the road, and on the break-in there, the perpetrator actually cut themselves quite dramatically on the glass from smashing the door to get in. So the police were able to get the DNA from that.
The hope now that crime scene evidence might quickly catch this thief before he comes calling anywhere else this Christmas. Greg Easthill, ITV News.
You're watching ITV News Tyne still to come on tonight's programme. Lewis Miley steps up to send Newcastle United to another semi-final. Simon will be here in just a bit.
And we'll find out about the forgotten war heroes this statue on South Tyneside is dedicated to.
And after a dry start to the day, the rain's been working its way up from the southwest. Some heavy downpours to come at times as we head through this evening, but some winter sunshine is on the way. I'll have more on that in your forecast later.
Next tonight, it's been a fixture of the austerity years. Our council's saying they don't have enough money to cover all the things that they need paying for.
And now the way they are funded is being reworked, and it would appear it is broadly good news for us.
Yeah, to find out a bit more about this, we can join our political correspondent, Tom Sheldrick. So, Tom, one of our councils will be particularly pleased, we understand.
No, that's right, Amy. Ministers here describe this as a radical overhaul of the way funding for councils is worked out, meaning more money for the most deprived areas, and that certainly includes Middlesbrough. According to the government, the council's spending power, the amount available for local services, will increase by 41% between last year and 2028-29. Per person in the town, it will be more than £1,800, the highest in the country. Middlesbrough Council needed exceptional financial help from the government less than 2 years ago. Now, though, they say they'll have more to invest on day-to-day services and longer-term projects. And according to my maths, across the North East as a whole, council spending power will increase by 24%. Not a huge amount of that, though, will come from extra government funding. Most of it will come from the expectation of council tax continuing to rise significantly. And the Conservative-led Northumberland County Council say the government's claims that they'll have 25% more to spend are not a fair reflection.
We are spitting feathers. We're deeply disappointed. This is not a good day for Northumberland County Council or residents in Northumberland. We're getting £12.6 million over the next 3 years. And just to put that into context, we're looking, just to stand still, we're looking for £40 million worth of savings next year alone.
And there are two councils in our region, North Yorkshire and City of York, where the funding from the government will reduce slightly. I think that's based on lower levels of deprivation. But ministers say the councils will have more to spend because of higher council tax bills. Some Labour MPs here are claiming this marks the end of the austerity period under Conservative governments, but I don't think we should expect to see big changes in how social care is provided, bins are collected or potholes are filled in.
Tom, lots of numbers to crunch there at Westminster for us this evening. Thank you very much indeed.
The ITV Evening News continues at 6:30 tonight with Mary.
Coming up on the programme at 6:30, the Bank of England cuts interest rates. What will it mean for our budgets this Christmas? A record number of people are in hospitals with flu as health officials urge us all to get vaccinated. And the Court of Appeal rules a legal claim over the right to resurrect the actor Peter Cushing in a Star Wars film should be thrown out. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Powering local sport in the community, Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
So time for the sport and the Carabao Cup holders. Well, they are still very much holding on to that cup, Simon, aren't they?
You don't want to give it back, do they? Another semi-final for Newcastle United. The Magpies will face Manchester City over 2 legs early next year in the Carabao Cup semi-final after squeezing past Fulham last night in a game that, for one reason or another, they desperately needed to win. The night where Newcastle United really needed to drum up some forward momentum. The plan was to move towards another Carabao Cup semi-final, maybe another final, but also to move away from last weekend, to get past the derby defeat at Sunderland, to get smiles back on Geordie faces. Mission accomplished.
All you can then do is focus on the future and try and turn that pain into positivity. I think we've gone some way to doing that. I don't think I'll ever forget the feeling that we had after the Sunderland game. And rightly so, that should probably remain there until we play them again, and we try and use that to help us on that day.
Boost the team morale, boost the supporters' morale.
We needed the confidence, we needed the win, especially on the back of losing against the Mackhams, but get in.
Newcastle got where they needed to go. It wasn't a smooth journey, but there were plenty of positives. Johan Wiss's first start for the Magpies brought his first goal. Injury meant the £55 million striker has waited a long time for that moment. But Fulham were level soon after. Sasa Lukic scored, and that set the scene for a nervous night. The Magpies were the better team, especially after the break. The clock was ticking, though, and penalties loomed large. But cometh the hour, cometh the 19-year-old homegrown man.
Aimed it towards it, the impulse of Clinton, and Miley has done it again. The local hero.
Go on, Lewis Miley!
Yeah, I think it was a great performance tonight. I think we stuck together as a team. Obviously, it was 1-1 for a long time. I think we could have went under, but I think we just kept going as a team and we got that goal at the end that we deserved.
Newcastle's reward is a teak-tough 2-legged semi-final against Manchester City. They got through against Brentford last night, but nobody ever said winning cups was easy.
Whoever we were going to get, it was going to be difficult. I think Manchester City is probably the most difficult game that we ever have to prepare for. I think they're an outstanding team, but we've beaten them once this season, and that was a memorable win for us. So, yeah, we look forward to the game when it comes around.
Oh, yeah, they can do it again. They can beat any team on their day.
On the right day, we can do anything. It's just we seem to be missing those right days at the moment.
Could they win it again?
Of course we can. We're Newcastle United, man. Of course we can. Of course we can.
The semi-final draw means Newcastle will have to knock down some heavyweights to lift the trophy. But that's what they did last season, so you never know.
Well, there's some games you just have to win, and it felt like that was one of those games last night, Simon.
Yeah, you can just smell it in the air sometimes. Newcastle's season has been okay, I think, so far, not great. But the derby at the weekend did a lot of emotional damage, created a lot of anger and resentment amongst the fans. And a big emotional club like Newcastle is better when everybody, especially the fans, is on side. That didn't wipe the slate clean, but it keeps the glass half full. There's a lot to look forward to in the new year, just as there was this time last season, and we know how that turned out. Well, the week after the derby's been very different for Sunderland, of course. The Black Cats definitely enjoyed the moment, but Sunderland's players and coaching staff know they can't dwell on the moment. They're on to the next game at Brighton on Saturday. But Regis Lebris was asked at today's press conference how he celebrated victory last Sunday.
I slept because I was tired. Everyone is happy, but at the end of the day, it's only 3 points. So it was important for the fixture, for what it means for the regions. But at the same time, the championship, the league is ongoing, and we just have to compete again.
Simon, thanks very much indeed. Now, next tonight, it is known as one of the forgotten conflicts of the Second World War. That's now hoping that it might change and it might be brought back into the light thanks to a new sculpture in South Shields.
Yes, on VJ Day, artist Ray Lonsdale unveiled his latest work, paying tribute to the servicemen who fought in Burma.
Today, it's been placed in his permanent home in South Shields, as Jenny Henry reports.
At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
A moment of kindness amongst the atrocities of war, captured here permanently in tribute to those who were once forgotten. The Royal Artillery in Burma are often referred to as the Forgotten Army. As Europe celebrated victory, terror continued in the east as the message of peace failed to reach them. One of those soldiers was Len Gibson. He was imprisoned on the Burma Death Railway. It's his story that the statue tells. The moment Len handed over a banjo to a local boy before his liberation.
From what I've learned of Len Gibson through his book, he came back with a huge humanity, and he did a lot for a lot of people since the war. So you want to try and show that aspect of the man and the other men who were in a similar situation, and hopefully it's come across okay.
Daft as a Brush charity founder Brian Burney funded the sculpture and gifted it to South Tyneside.
Normally walk walls, there's somebody standing there looking whatever, but there's movement in this feeling. He's come off 3.5 years of captivity. He must have buried somebody every day on the camp there. And to come out into freedom and to give whatever he had to this little boy, it's very, very moving actually. He was captured because he was a lovely gentleman. He's probably the greatest gentleman I've ever met in my life.
While the statue here tells the story of one man, it commemorates the Forgotten Army, who continued fighting in the Far East, and some of their relatives were here today. Clive Ollie drove tanks in the Royal Artillery. He was just 21 when the war ended. His 4 daughters here to remember him today.
His friends, his comrades that he was with, they kept each other going. But the things that he's seen must have been awful. We've been asking for this for years.
Because when you go to the cenotaphs and that, they don't seem to mention the forgetting army, and I think
regardless of the hours of finding.
It's just a nice focus to have on that anniversary, to be able to come to.
Yeah.
Come down here now, can't we?
Yeah. Yeah, it's lovely to come down here now and keep their memory alive. We're all just so proud of them. It's just the best.
Now in its home of North Marine Park in South Shields, a permanent reminder of the once forgotten army, who will now always be remembered. Jenny Henry, ITV News.
Remembering the forgotten army.
Those sculptures are so well positioned, aren't they?
Yeah.
Ray Lonsdale's work is becoming quite a feature in different parts of our region.
Yeah.
And it's a week till Christmas. You're going to say, is it going to snow? And we're talking about statues. And can I combine the two?
Can you?
I can.
Wow.
Let's take a look. Because the last time it snowed was around the 20th of November. So yeah, about a month ago. And yeah, Tommy, obviously one of Ray Lonsdale's sculptures, and there was a few dotted around. This one was Fiddler's Green. The snow seems to take people out to take photos, and they look absolutely wonderful, even more dramatic, I'd say, in that setting. Lots of people hoping for this as we head into next week. It would be a bit more festive than the rain we've been seeing recently. I've taken a look back since Monday because we've been stuck in a bit of a pattern with the rain rolling its way, and then we get a bit of a break, then more rain rolls its way through, get a bit of a break, more rain rolls its way through, and that's what we've seen today. But there's been a real difference in rainfall totals because of the patchy nature of this. Over the North York Moors, 37mm since Monday, and Sea Houses, just 1mm. Here's the question: are we going to lose the rain and gain the snow over the next few days? White Christmas, unlikely but not impossible. It's looking like it's not going to be as wet next week. That's the good news.
That's really good news.
Colder, maybe some snow on the way as high pressure builds in, but not for now. It's staying unsettled, and here's your forecast.
An icy start to the day will give way to a series of oohs and ahs. TUI sponsors ITV Tyne Tees Weather.
Some spells of sometimes heavy rain continue as we head through this evening, but clearing away into the early hours. Some clearer skies in those shelter spots, temperatures dipping down. So chilly start for sun into tomorrow morning, but it is looking brighter. Holding on to those sunny spells into the afternoon, but still a scattering of blustery showers to come. Still staying pretty unsettled at the moment, low pressure nearby. There's the rain that's affecting us at the moment, moving its way up towards the northeast. And then as we head overnight into tomorrow, we start to see those breezes picking up at times, but they've pushed the rain out of the way. And really, it's not until later Saturday we see another front starting to move its way in from the west. Again, the clouds is going to thicken. We could see some patchy rain arriving. For now, the rain is hit and miss, but some heavy spells still to come. As we pass around midnight, most of that has disappeared. We do get those clearer skies. In those shelter spots, temperatures dropping down into the low single digits. For towns and cities, holding up around 5 or 6 degrees. But still that chill in the air heading into Friday morning. Friday, it's breezy, blustery even, pushing through these showers. Some of those will be on the sharp side, but thanks to the winds, they're rattling through quickly. And in between, we do hold on to the brighter breaks, the sunny spells through into the afternoon. So actually, in the sunshine, out of the winds, not too bad. Highs like today, around 8 or 9 degrees. Through Friday and into Saturday, holding on to clearer skies as those showers disappear. Some lighter breeze at times as well, so maybe a chillier start into Saturday morning. A little bit of frost around as we head into the first part of the day, but that'll disappear. Brighter skies following. As I say, it's later on the cloud thickening from the west as we see some rain trying to edge its way in. So decent conditions on Saturday. Into the later part of the weekend, there is a change in wind direction. We're going to see that cloud increasing, temperatures holding up at around 7 or 8 degrees.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne Tees Weather.
Thank you, Ross. In just a moment, it's the national and international news.
I'll be back here with the late news for you at 10 to 11 this evening. Hope to see you then. Take care. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.